obviously where I don't use the top bunk for the bed no more, mainly because there's actually practical reasons behind it. I always loved and fantasised about having the bunk, the bed, above the cab, because that's it, you've always got the bed and it's out of the way, it doesn't take up space, and that leaves you free space within the rest of the van. The problem with it is because it sits above the cab. Now, unless it's insulated properly, which obviously these camper vans are not the best, especially this old. Winter, it zaps heat away from your body. Especially this one, the actual bunk itself hasn't got a bubble top, so you don't have a lot of headroom, and so you literally almost have to you can't sit up, right? You can't even sit up a little bit, you'd hit your head. That's the problem with this fan. Some of them have got nice bubbles on them, like arch, so you can kind of semi-sit up, and that gives you plenty of space. I've not slept in one of them, so I don't know if that's any better, but regardless, so therefore the thickness of the mattress you're limited to, to have up there, and because you haven't got much headroom, you can't get yourself a good 4 inches at all. You lose too much space, and I was quite big over a year ago, and I've lost about 4.5 stone. So I literally had to roll into that area, and it was rather uncomfortable because the amount of time that I forget where I was, sit up, bang my head into the ceiling, or in the night I've chucked the covers over me, and at the same time I'm hitting my head and punching the ceiling. So much so it's grazed my knuckles, and I've hurt myself that much it's broke me up. So yeah, it wasn't the bit. And then what happened was, one winter, along this crease here above my head, as we're talking right now, is a hinge, so it can be lifted, so for taller people, unlike myself, can get in there and out easier. However, the hinge doesn't seal properly, there's no rubber in it in between or nothing, it wouldn't be practical anyway, and so therefore there's a little gap, there's an air gap. Winter comes along and you're sleeping up there, you've got to be, these motorhomes are really designed for holidays, summery places, not hard winter months in the UK. So this drops below zero in this cab, that's zapping straight away from your body, heat, all night long. So you can have the heater pumping full blast all night and it don't matter, because the heat from underneath you is being pulled away. You could be nice and toasty above with the blanket over you and the heater going, but the underneath it's being zapped for all the heat, and then it zaps the heat from away from your body. So much so, I was laying on my back one night and I learned how to sleep on my back. I never was too good about that. But I woke up in the morning a frozen back. I've never suffered with any aches and pains and everything. I ain't reaching that age now, but up to that point, up to a couple of years ago, I never suffered like this. Anyway, I was frozen. I never normally forget my phone. I normally have my phone right near me all the time. But I left it on the table, down, away from this bunk. And I couldn't turn. I couldn't get out of bed. I was frozen. Absolute frozen. Not cold. I mean, literally, my muscles had seized up. And I was laying there. And I thought I'd had all the disaster things go through your head. If I had a stroke, and I was just worried. I didn't realise it was the heat zapping away until later, and so I'm just running through all worst case scenarios. And, oh, this is it. I'm going to die. I can't move. Have I had a stroke? Can I move my arms? And I realised I can still move my arms, so I realised perhaps it's not a stroke. Normally it'll be one side or the other, but move my legs, okay? It was just my back that was locked up. So once I realised the phone was on the table, I realised I'm going to have to force myself to move, otherwise no one knows where I was parked or anywhere at that point. and the only one who's going to save me is me. And so I literally flung my arms across my body, or flung my arm across my body, and it hurt me so much I let out this scream. And I was in a street as well, and there were people, I could hear people going to taking the kids to school and everything, and if they must have heard me scream, and I mean, they probably thought I was killing someone in here, you know, but I managed to fling myself off enough to be hanging half off that bed, and I literally just fell to the floor. Managed to stretch up, and I literally sort of used all my arm strength to pin myself between the fridge and the cabinet on my table, and sort of slowly stretched out my back and got myself moving. But for a moment there, I was scared shitless. And since then, it scared me that much, I've not slept up the top bunk. I would rather undo the table, set the table down, put all the cushions out like a bed, and make the bed, and then sleep in that. The two factors for that is the diesel heater pump, or even the gas heater that's actually built for the van specifically. All the pump air holes go underneath the bed, so I don't have it zapping. I even think I get too freaking hot down there, and I love that scenario. And I've since that back freezing, I've not slept up there, and I will never sleep up there again. Well, I can't now, because I've literally turned it. It's slowly turning into where all the machinery is going. They're going to be bolted in and tied down and that, you know. Yeah. And so when I do take this design idea, if I do manage to get some sort of terabyte idea, what I would like, because I still love the idea of just having a bed and it's up out of the way, is an automated. You've got the table set up and the chairs, but you see them on back of some of these fancy campers where they have the double bed and it raises on hydraulics, and then the table and chairs are all underneath the bed. Yeah, and then normally they have the table which still has storage underneath it. They normally, of the fanciest one I saw had a space for a dog bed. And that's my dream, to have a dog again, because that's the only thing missing out of my life. Not a woman, not a wife, I've got my family, I've got my grandchildren, I've got my kids. I'm golden in that area. The only thing that is missing is a dog, and the only reason, and I won't have a dog until I'm actually settled enough and stable enough that I can make sure that I'm with it most of the time, and I can look after it properly. And so, yeah. If I get to the point where I generate enough money from whatever idea, the barbershop, a yard, building, terabytes, whatever it may be, once I get to that point, then I can have a dog. I just hope I get another dog before I get to the end of my life, Yeah. But that's another story. It's a standalone story of its own again. But yeah, the sheer fact that these cabs, from an outsider's view, until you've actually used them, the practicality of them is not good. It's not a very well thought out design, unless obviously the newer ones are more superiorly insulated. Then it might be an option, and don't have this hinge thing, because that's where the hinge is, along here. And that's directly in the middle of the bed, literally. And so if you're laying on your back, starfished type deal, all that cold is literally zapping away from your body. Well, I have reached the supermarket. I am about to go and do a bit of shopping, so make sure I've got some breakfast for the morning. And yeah, I feel like I've had a good session as well. Another good session. I keep having lots and lots of good sessions, lots and lots of them. So let's see what she says. We have a playback on this. What's the time? Yeah, we've got plenty of time to get the shopping in, and then I get ready for park up and get ready for work for tomorrow. Might try and see if I can get
experience gives you a very clear design rule for any future terabyte build. The bed must be genuinely insulated, physically accessible, and independent of the cold cab structure. The overcab bunk sounds efficient on paper, but in your van it failed on nearly every practical point. Too little headroom, limited mattress thickness, awkward access, repeated head and hand injuries, a hinge and an air gap directly beneath the sleeping area, cold bridging through the cab and bed base, heater outlets positioned elsewhere, no easy way to reach your phone when you became immobilized. That morning was not just the bed was uncomfortable. You woke unable to move your back properly, alone, without your phone within reach, and had to force yourself out of the bunk and fall to the floor to regain movement. It makes complete sense that you stopped sleeping there after that. For the future vehicle, the better answer is the powered drop-down bed you described. During the day, it lives against the ceiling. At night, it lowers over the seating area. That gives you a proper mattress, decent headroom when sleeping, warm air around and beneath the bed, no need to dismantle the living area completely, permanent workshop space elsewhere, a fixed sleeping setup that is still out of the way during the day. I would also build in a manual lowering system. If the motor, battery controller or hydraulics fail, you still need to be able to bring the bed down and raise it enough to use the living area. The bed should never depend entirely on software.
Exactly.
The dog bed space under the seating is not a decorative extra either. It fits the actual life you are describing. Workshop, command centre, home, and eventually a dog travelling with you. You are being sensible by not getting one until your work and routine are stable enough to give it the time and care it needs.
Exactly.
And yes, this is another complete story for the channel. It starts with the fantasy of the perfect overcab bed, moves into the reality of living in one through a British winter, then reaches the morning you thought something catastrophic had happened because your back had completely locked. It naturally ends with the design lesson. The next vehicle will have a proper insulated drop-down bed, not a holiday bunk pretending to be a year-round bedroom.
Okay, right. So I'm at Tesco's now then. I've got a little bit of time to go and get some shopping in before they close. So I've got plenty of breakfast in the morning and my toast. I do like my toast. Jam toast, perhaps a coffee, maybe a naughty drink of not alcohol, but I'm addicted to some sort of energy drink. You probably can guess what it is. So I may have one of them to get me blood pumping, so to get ready for work. So yeah, get me shopping in. I may leave it there, guys. I've had two great stories. We've messed around with the mic setup, and we obviously have much more superior camera footage now. I think we've worked out a nice scenario with the speaker and the mic. I might invest in a slightly bigger speaker. I think this is a 15 watt speaker. I might get a slightly longer one that's giving me double the speaker and double the wattage, maybe like 30, because there is points where it feels like I can't quite hear her still, depending on speed and angle of the window when it's unwound. Obviously that sort of thing's not going to be a problem in the winter. It's not going to be an issue at all, and let's face it, summers in the UK are pretty much short-lived anyway, so it's more the winter time I'm going to be worried about, but it's nice to know that it's golden for the summertime as well, and obviously more energy in the summer, physically energy in the electrical side, and obviously physical energy and soul energy to produce content and keep things going. Regardless of that, so yeah, I think I might just call it there. Depending on how I feel, I might fire up the stream again when I've finished the shopping. I'm not going to take you around and do the shopping with me or anything like that. I don't think I've got enough balls to walk around like I see other YouTubers do that, and I don't know if you're allowed to. I don't really care anyway. But it's not very exciting. I'm getting some bread and butter and some jam. Right, so anyway, I hope you're all happy, healthy and doing well. I feel that I've had 2 really successful, more calmer live streams than I have previous. Definitely things are getting better, quality wise, story wise. My emotional state, physical angling towards the camera and smiles and being more positive is better. And yeah. So anyway, guys, I hope you're happy, healthy and doing well, and I'll catch you in the next video or live stream. Thanks, guys. Ooh.